Alright, what's up? So this is going to be my crash site perfect agent tutorial. I'm going to try and do my best to keep it short and concise, even though I'm probably going to end up rambling for like 20 minutes. Um, I'm also going to put out a text, like, a text right up. Uh, Keep it open for everyone's preference, whatever they want. You got to do one of each these days. Everyone has a different preference. Some people like to read, some people like to listen and watch, and some people like both. So it's just keep it open. And I'm gonna mention a couple things about the different route at the end. Like I'll go over the out of bounds on the hover bike, but I'll also talk about not using the hover bike and doing the old style ending where you just run to the spot where you'd shoot the ship. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna talk about is um, the hover bike, and I'm just gonna say that not a lot of people know that you can literally just quit out of Air Force One after pressing the button to lower the hover bike. You don't actually have to complete Air Force One to have the hover bike appear on crash site. So anytime you need to do that, it's pretty easy. Just keep that in mind. All right, so when you're approaching the hover bike, obviously you want to get on it as fast as possible. So just mash B as you're approaching it. You'll get on it. Obviously, you're strafing with the hover bike. You're not just pressing C up because it's faster. And now, when you're riding the hover bike, you have like extra momentum. So what I like to do is kind of like pre-turn around these corners. So you kind of like use the momentum to get you around the corner, but you've already turned to get a nice angle on your next line. Now, for picking up the briefcase here, the most consistent way to do it is to let go of the C buttons and just kind of like glide over it. Because if you move too fast, like if you continue holding speed, uh, like a lot of the time you'll just go right over it, completely miss it. It's very hard to pick up if you hold speed. So right there, I just kind of like, slide into it. All right, so now for the escape pod and the beacon here, what I used to do is pause buffer, like a one single pause to kind of like, I don't know, time it, line it up in a way. But really all I do now is just kind of like this right half of the beacon, of the escape pod, is where the beacon button is. Like you might think that like this thing is the button. It's not. It's like just this entire like half. And it's pretty precise to actually hit on the hover bike. You can kind of like hit it in a few different ways. Like you can just like hold left strafe and run into it and slide against it and still be able to hit it without even like stopping. But usually what I do is, strafe almost all the way to it and then just press C up into this part of it and then hit B and then, strafe away. If you come at it in a bad angle, you can get stuck like on the bottom part of the hover, or the hover bike can get stuck on the bottom part of the escape pod. And obviously that's bad. So yeah, just practice with this. Use a pause buffer if you really need to. I'm not sure if like doing a pause loses speed on the bike. I'm not sure if like letting go of speed is a bad thing on the bike. I'll include information in that in my text write-up at some point. And when you're coming through here, I like to shoot these guards, just trying to injure them so they don't show up later on. So they're, slow them down. So now when you come in here, you really want to, like, there's two different things you got to do. Either, and it depends on what strat you're going to do later on in the level. So if you plan on using the hover bike again and going out of bounds, then you want to dig it right in here like I'm doing right here. And you want to like slam the hover bike right in there and kind of get it stuck so it doesn't move. And then get off as fast as you can. And then start holding Z to pull the mine, you know what I mean? Like start throwing it, but not release it. If you're not going to use the hover bike, then you kind of want to get off a little bit earlier and not jam it right in there and get it stuck. You want it to like bounce out of the cave here so it's not in the way later on. Alright, so now for this mine throw, like I said, already start holding Z to pull back the mine and get it ready to throw. And then when you're about to throw it here, you can get it stuck on either of these walls, and that's bad. You want to just like aim it right in there. And the faster you do this, it's pure time gain. Like it's all good. Just like keep trying to get faster and faster as you do this mine throw, and especially like throw and then just leave right away. Like don't like sit there and watch it go all the way down. Just like turn after as soon as you throw it, just turn right away and continue. The only thing about that is then you'll have to like kind of learn the detonation timing, which isn't too bad. It's pretty much free. Like you could probably just let it land on the ground and blow up the mine, and it'll get the drones. In any case, it's pretty easy as long as you don't get it stuck on either of the walls here. Now for this mine throw, it's a lot more precise, I would say, because what's happening is as soon as you get around the wall here, you let go. You can let go with a pause. Like you're gonna have to pause anyway. So let go, pause, and switch to unarmed. And even though you haven't detonated the mine yet, you still want to switch to unarmed because it just makes the switch faster after you detonate the mine. So switch to unarmed, and then ideally, like this is where you're aiming the mine behind the two drones, not too high, not too low, because you're trying to avoid these things. You're trying to avoid missing either of the drones because that's bad. Obviously, you need to kill both of the drones for the presidents to start moving. You want to avoid killing the president, which will happen if the mine goes too far to the right here, or if it sticks on one of the drones, then it's going to be too close to the president. And you want to avoid putting the fire in a place that you're going to be running through. Since you're going to be running through like right here towards the president, you don't want the fire from the mine to basically, if you put it in a bad spot, it's going to kill you. Or take away like most of your health, which will end up killing you later on most of the time. So even throwing it up here can still get both of the drones, and it's kind of safer since if the fire's up here, you won't get burned and it has less chance of killing the president. But it is possible to miss the drones. Ideally, you want to put it behind the two drones and right in between them, and that's like the perfect placement. So to continue what I was saying is after you throw it like that, you switch to unarmed and then detonate it as soon as it gets like behind the drones. So I'm switched to unarmed, but I still have the mine detonator out. It's like a kind of a pre-switch. Like I was saying, it helps the actual unarmed switch, which I'm doing now. It helps this switch be faster. So after detonating it, I pause and switch to unarmed a second time. That brings unarmed out pretty quick. You can even pause another time here and like kind of quick draw unarmed. It's not necessary, but it adds consistency. Boss does it. I don't do it though. There are some times where I've gotten to Trent like really quickly and the punch doesn't come out because it's not fully equipped. If you understand what that means, it's kind of a perfect dark thing. Okay, so steal the LX, and then I backstrafe here. And I'm moving very fast, and this is really specific movement to get the president to follow me. So I'm backstrafing and watching what the president's doing. And basically I want him to do that like little two-step, where he does two small steps like following me when I start the backstrafe. And then when I start doing, I'm still backstrafing and I'm going to turn right here while going backwards. And I'm watching the president, and now he's running fast now. So I continue going back and hope that he carries that fast speed, which he should, as long as you are far enough away from him. And now while I'm walking backwards, I'm not strafing, I'm just walking straight backwards against this wall on the right here. It's possible to get stuck on the wall, so watch out for that. And I'm watching right in this crack, looking for the president. And as soon as I see him, even if I don't see him, I'm just kind of going through the motions. Sometimes you'll see him there, sometimes you won't. And then after this motion, I kind of go back. And then I sit right here waiting to see the president. And sometimes I won't see him, and it'll be like, like 58, and I'll just leave anyway. because that's just like the pace I was aiming for. So obviously you can adjust this time for when you want to leave this spot, depending on what pace you have. So, but if you do see the president, it's just clear. It's just leave as fast as you can. All right, so then you get up here, and now you have this guard here. A lot of the time you'll have this guard here, and he can do a couple of different things. He can spot you, run towards you, and start shooting, or he can go off to the right over here and just run away and like ignore you. And if he does that, that's bad, and he's gonna see and shoot the president and interrupt him when he comes out. So, either way, whatever happens, you need to kill this guard. I would recommend trying to pick up the K7, but if it's out of your way, it's not super good of an idea. It does help on your way back through the cave here if there are the guards, the blonde and the two K7 guards from earlier. The other thing that's going on here is I stop and wait here, and this is like a little trick for the president, since he kind of has a cycle-based movement where like after each like 6-second cycle or so, he kind of like updates where he's going to move. So waiting here for like a second actually makes that cycle a lot better for this for getting him across this line. So this is the line that you're trying to get him across. You can see it here, and it kind of goes along the wall. Like it kind of goes all the way to this point on the wall. There's a you know, part of the wall is sticking out here on this side. So ideally, you're just trying to like, I use a timer, like 109 is roughly when I want to like start heading back, and that'll be a good pace for the president. I'm going to show another run where I did a safer strat, where I would just run out as fast as I could and then wait here, holding speed at the wall and watching for the president, and waiting until he stops and starts moving while I'm behind this line, which is, you can see he stopped and started moving there. And now that to me means, okay, he's heading across the line, and that means once he gets across the line, he goes to the end. So that's the consistent strat, is to just hold speed against the wall there. All right, now we're heading back. Sometimes there's going to be guards here. You're going to have to deal with those. That's why I said to pick up the K7. I'm going to close this one, and we're going to watch. This is the non-out-of-bounds route, and this is one of my LTK runs. So when you're running through this cave, so yeah, for the non-out-of-bounds route, you're going to take out the mine, and there's a couple different ways you can do the mine throw here. You can, a lot of people start either just do like the agent style throw with a crouch, or a running style throw. Those are all really risky. This is the one that I recommend doing if you're just like trying to figure out how to actually do it. So the visual cue that I use is this this like dip in the wall here. The bottom point here, you line up with the kind of like, you put the bottom point there just to the left of center, and just a little bit off the bottom of the screen. And that should work almost every time. Then yeah, detonate a little bit later, and then you got these guards patrolling in this area, and they're all dangerous guards. This is an LTK run, so I can't get hit at all, but on PA, you can get away with like not killing these guards or not shooting. It can lose you time if you get backed or whatever. You can also die if you have low health. It's a pretty rough area. Now there's a potential for a guard around this corner, and if he's there, he can shoot you through this wall. It's really bad, but it's just something that happens. Sometimes he's way back here instead, and then you have to do something like this, where you just take him out, and then switch to the LX because you're about to shoot the ship. So the shot here is, ideally you need to get up on this little mound. You need to like get a little bit extra height to be able to see the ship. So step onto the mound, and then aim right in between the legs of the drone. And that's the shot. All right, now going back for the out of bounds. When you get back on the bike here, I like to turn on high res right away and switch to unarmed because there's like a little mini warp as soon as you start trying to get through this spot. You can see it like right there when I switch to unarmed, I kind of like warp a little bit. It's not like a required thing. You can get through there without warping, but I would recommend doing it just as a consistency strat. Now for this part, this is a huge hang up, and it's not consistent at all. But when I was playing, the best way that I found to do it was just to jam the bike in here like this, and do one single back switch to remote mine. And that's all, and that's it. You don't spam swap, just one single back switch, and let the remote mine come out. The only downside to this is if it doesn't work, you don't get a second chance. Like you can try again, but it loses like 5 seconds because of how long it takes to pull the remote mine out and put it away. So you just gotta hope to get through just like that. And when you do, start holding Z and look up. And basically, you can kind of you can use this dip in the wall in a similar way, but because you're on the hover bike, it doesn't work the same. So the way I do it is, well, what happened here is I had a little bit of rightward momentum. So it made the mine kind of like curve to the right. But ideally, you want to still basically have this dip in the wall in the middle of the screen. But just instead of having the bottom of it off the screen, you want it like about right here. All right, and then once you've thrown, we're still in high res right now, by the way, because we're about to do the out of bounds clip, and doing it in high res is a lot easier. It's not required, but it's way easier. Same goes for the switching weapons. It's not required to clip out of bounds, but it makes it way easier. So yeah, you just basically kind of ride the wall, like ride this ledge, and you don't really adjust your angle that much. You just ride the ledge all the way, switch weapons, and you just get in there. Like I recommend you just play around with this when not on runs, just trying to get in here, and so you understand how it works. Once you're in, it's kind of easy. The first thing you need to do once you clip through is just do like a hard left turn. Because if you don't do the hard left turn, you're gonna get like stuck in a weird way where the bike starts looking down. There's different rooms will start getting loaded, and you won't be able to move. Basically, the hard left turn avoids all of that. So you do a hard left turn, and you gotta play around with this too. Like it's a lot of like, especially this first part of the out of bounds movement is all based in feel. And while you're doing this, you have to turn off high res, take out the mine, and then detonate the mine. And then take out the LX. And now, once the bike starts getting dark like this, you'll know that this room is about to show up, which is like an outside, this room right here, which you can't really see because it's kind of off screen. But I use this corner as a visual guide to figure out where I'm going, really, and for timing. So basically, you're trying to get around this corner by strafing left. But if you hold strafe, you get stuck because you're moving too fast out of bounds, and there's like weird restrictions with invisible walls when you're moving out of bounds too fast that you'll just get stuck. So what I do is pause buffer and tap the C buttons. And then, yeah, like just look up after getting around that corner and kind of like judge based on timing how close you are to the ship and when it's gonna like appear and when the room's gonna load. And if you do this movement wrong, you can actually load like too much of the room. Like I don't know exactly what happens, but you can load it in such a way where when you take a shot, it actually hits the wall rather than going through and hitting the ship. So you gotta be careful of that. There's a lot of like small details that I don't know exactly how it all works. I just know that what I do works. So that's basically all I can really say about that. Um, yeah, and then do your best to not miss the shot like I did on this run. Obviously, I got redemption on 140, but this 141 was like a cleaner vid to show. So that's really all I can say about the level. Like, if I have anything else, it's going to be written in the text guide, or you can just message me and ask. But especially for the out of bounds, you got to just play with it. Something that you just learn by trial and error.